Algebra 2, 5.4d, Factoring by Grouping. Now this is the fourth lesson for 5.4. In A, we talked about removing the greatest common factor. In B, we talked about factoring trinomials. In C, we talked about the difference of squares. And if you don't understand any of those, you need to go into the link of this video's description and watch those real quick before you watch this one, because you're going to get confused. Now, if you do understand those topics, then we'll be okay. Sometimes an expression of 4 or more terms can be grouped so that the common factors can be found. The common factor might even be a binomial. So we have y squared plus 3y plus 4y plus 12, and even though you may have the urge to condense and combine these like terms, don't do it, okay? Leave them open like that. We're going to group the left side together and the right side together, and we're going to ask ourselves, what makes y squared? It's a y times y. What makes 3y? It's a 3 times y. What makes 4y? A 4 times y. And what makes 12? A 4 times 3. Now we can look and see that both of these have y for a factor. So we can factor out that y, and we can factor out the 4 on this side because they both have a 4. What's left is a y plus a 3 in the blue, see? And what's left on this side is a y plus a 3 in blue on that side. So we put the y that we factored out up here and the 4 that we factored out up here, and in parentheses we have y plus 3 and y plus 3. Now because we have 2 of them, we can factor one of them out. We get y plus 4 in one parentheses and the y plus 3 in the other. See? Okay, let's try this again. We're going to group them into a left side and a right side. Left side, right side. What makes 4x squared? And you have to think ahead sometimes, okay? It's a 4x times an x. This is a negative 3 times an x. For this one, it's a 5 times a 4x to get that positive 20x. And for this one, to get a negative 15, we need a 5 times a negative 3. Now, we didn't do negative 5 because it's got to match that 5, see? So we made the negative 3 the negative, see? These both have x as a factor, so we can yank those out. These both have 5 as a factor. We could factor that out. And what ends up happening in this group, see how it's split in half? Here's the left side, here's the right side, here's the left side, here's the right side. What we get left over is a 4x and a negative 3 in blue, and a 4x and a negative 3 in blue on that side. So by pulling out the x and the 5, we put the x here, we put the 5 there. We got our 4x minus 3 and our 4x minus 3. Because we have 2 of them, we can factor one of them out. And we get x plus 5 times 4x minus 3. See that? And this method, factoring by grouping, is for 4 or more terms, remember. Only if a true proportion can be set up among the 4 coefficients. So when we look at this problem that we had, this is the original problem, we could put 4 divided by negative 3, and it'll equal 20 divided by negative 15. We can even do 4 divided by 20 is going to equal negative 3 divided by negative 15. See? It needs to be in proportion, okay? Negative 4 thirds is in proportion to negative 20 fifteenths. See? All right, so now let's take a look at this one. We've got this expression right here, and we're going to split it into a left and right side. And what makes ax squared? A times x squared. And what makes a y? A times y. What makes negative of bx squared? A negative b times an x squared. So they both have x squared, don't they? And this would be a negative of b times y. These both have a as a factor. These both have the negative of b as factors. So we can factor out that a and negative of b. We put them in the front of the parentheses, and all that's left over in blue is the x squared plus y and the x squared plus y. They go into the parentheses. Now that we have 2 of them, we can factor one of them out. We put our a minus b in the first parentheses and the other x squared plus y in the other one, and we're done. See? Let's try it again. This is the one we broke open with foil at the end of the last video. We're going to split it into 2 sides, okay? We got 5y squared, which is 5y times y, We've got a 2y, which is a 2 times y. This is a 2 times 5y, and this is a 2 times 2. Both of these have y as a factor, so that could be factored out. Both of these have 2 as a factor, so that could be factored out. We're going to factor out the y and the 2. We put the y in the front of the parentheses, we put the 2 in the front of the parentheses. All that's left over is a blue 5y plus a 2. And that goes in the parentheses. All that's left over on this side is a blue 5y plus 2. Because we have 2 of them, we can factor one of them out, and we put the y plus 2 in the front parentheses, and we drop down the other 5y plus 2. We can even flip it around and make it 5y plus 2 times y plus 2, right? Because it doesn't matter what order we multiply them in, right? Okay? I hope you understood that. I know it can be confusing, but if you followed all these videos, these 3 previous videos and this one, it should make sense to you, okay? Our next video is 5.5a. We're going to factor sums or differences of 2 cubes. I'm going to add this video to the Algebra 2 playlist for studying, and there's going to be the link to that Chapter 5 Algebra 1 where we talked about a lot of this, and all the previous videos in this current chapter that should help you, okay? So all of those little videos will be in the description, and you'll just be able to click on them, okay? So if you need a refresher or if you haven't seen them at all right? So I hope you're doing okay. I'm proud of you. Keep trying, and I'll see you next video. Bye.